G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with a SOLASTA Crown of the Magister build video. Today we're going to talk about the second best Archery Ranger build in the game. Let's dive on in. So, what do I mean first of all by the second best Archery Ranger build? Well, first of all, I'm saying that Rangers are the best archers in the game. Full stop. Yes, rogues with a sneak attack can potentially do more damage in the right situations, but in this case I'm talking about the ability to hit your target. You're going to have the best ability to hit a target as a Ranger than any other class. And I'm saying second best because there is one tiny little thing that you can change about this build, which I'm not going to tell you. You can leave your ideas down in the comments of what it is. This is based on the current early access version of the game, so some of this information may change in the future. If new races, new subclasses, things like that, new skills are added, that may change things. But as of early access in the game, this is the second best Archery Ranger build you can do. So first of all, we have to pick race. Well, there's almost any of the races work, well, all of the races actually work well as Rangers. They all have their advantages. The one that works the best, arguably, is the Sylvan Elf. And the reason that they work the best is because they have pretty well everything set up to be a Ranger. You have a bonus of +2 to dexterity, which is exactly what you want as an Archery Ranger. Your Fey Ancestry, which gives you a saving throw against Charm and an immunity to Sleep, is very handy, not just for a Ranger, but for everybody, as is your Dark Vision, as is your proficiency in the Perception skill. You have a slightly higher movement rate than everybody else. You have a +1 to Wisdom, which is another primary attribute of a Ranger, so that works out really well. Your proficiency with longsword, short bow, and longbow, you already get all of that as a Ranger, so that's not a big deal. Your Sylvan adaptability, where you get proficiency in survival and athletics and advantage on survival when hunting, is perfect for a Ranger. Hunting, that's right up a Ranger's alley. So this is arguably the best race to use as an Archery Ranger. They all work well, though. You get a similar bonus to dexterity if you play any of the halflings. You can get dexterity bonus, at least one bonus to dexterity as a half-elf, the same with a human. And the dwarven wisdom bonus as a hill dwarf is useful for you as well. So pretty much any class right now works really well for Ranger, but we are going to pick the Sylvan Elf. So we want to look at the Ranger class. Now there are 3 Ranger archetypes here. The Hunter, who can choose either Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, or Horde Breaker as their specialities. You get this at level 3. None of those is exceptional as with a bow, but of course Marksman is. So what you get here is a reaction shot. When an invisible opponent 2 or more cells from you attacks you with a ranged weapon or spell, you can use your reaction to take a shot after the triggering attack. I believe this is an extra reaction shot over the normal reaction that you can set up. But I haven't fully tested that yet. But that is an ability that we're going to be looking for. So we get, if we look at the class itself, we get saving throw proficiencies in strength and dexterity. We can use light, medium armor, and shields. We can use simple or martial weapons. There's a bunch of different skills that we can pick, but this is where it gets good. We can pick a favorite enemy, right? And this is where we can then gain advantage on ability checks and additional damage against this type. So not only is this build going to have a better ability to hit, in general, it's going to do extra damage against certain types. And you get about 3 of these. This is going to also be a build up to 10th level. I don't know that the game goes beyond that at this point. Technically, the game lets you level up to 20 in this leveling system that I'm going to use right now, but we are not going to test that just yet. I'm going to pick Giant. There's a lot of options here. Beast is a good one if you're expecting to come across beasts. I'm hoping that things like goblins and that fall into the monstrosity, but it's not clear. Undead is often a really good one to pick as well, but I'm sort of thinking there might be a few giants in this campaign, so I'm going to pick Giant. And then the first area I'm going to pick as an explorer is not forest, but mountain, because I believe a lot of the Badlands is probably more mountainous terrain rather than forest, but I could be wrong. Pick whichever ones you want. You will get advantage when you travel through those terrains. Of course, you're going to want longbow as the option here because it does slightly more damage, 1d8 of damage rather than the 1d6 of the short bow. So definitely pick that. You can go with a crossbow, but be aware that you may not be able to take your second attack once you get that at level 5 with a crossbow without taking a feat that allows you to reload quickly. Okay, so just be aware of that. So that's it. We've picked our class. Background. The background will not affect this at all. Pick whatever option you want here. Sellsword is a good option. Lowlife can be a good option. Lawkeeper can be a good option. I'm going to pick Sellsword at this point because this entire screen here does not affect anything. So I'm going to pick Authority and Kindness, and then I'm going to pick Altruism and Kindness. Actually, no, I'm going to unpick those because I want to go Lawful Good. So we'll go actually double up on Authority and Kindness all the way around. Now, picking your ability scores. You can go with the standard array, but be aware that we want to get our dexterity to 20 as soon as we can. If you go with a standard array, you're going to start at 17, and you're going to have to put 3 points in, okay? Which will limit the number of extra feats that we can take, but there's only really 1 feat that you need. That's essential for this build. So, and I think we get 2 or 3 chances to take either ability score increases or feats. So, yeah. So you can take the standard array. You can go points by, but I believe the points by does not let you go higher than 17 in this situation. 15 plus the 2 from your ancestry, okay? Which again means you're going to have to get a little bit higher. So you can probably turn on free edit, which lets you go higher. It does. Okay, so if you turn on the free edit rule, you can do that. I prefer just to go with the dice roll and roll until you've got 1 17, at least 2 14s, and the other 3 over 10. Actually, those 3 16s were pretty good. If I had all of the values over 10, I would have taken it. Like, even this isn't too bad. 16, 14, 12, 12. We'll go with that because that starts us with a dex of 18, right? Which means 1 round of ability score updates and we're at 20, and that's fine. I'm going to put 14 into Wisdom, 12 into Con, 12 into Strength, 12 into Intelligence, and 10 into Charisma. So this just gives us a little bit of strength, which is mostly going to be for carrying capacity because I believe even our dexterity is used for damage adjustment with the bow, not strength. So we won't have to worry about that. Constitution gives us 1 extra hit point, which is nice. That's why we're at 11 hit points here rather than 10. If we were able to get that a little bit higher, that would be good. Intelligence helps with some of our skills that we have as a ranger. That's the only reason why it's not at 10. You can put it at 10 if you don't have anything better, but don't let it go below 10 because that'll affect your ability to use some of those skills. We want wisdom as high as we can, because that's the ability that we use for our spells as a ranger, but you don't get a lot, and you're not going to rely on those spells really to do a lot of damage. So don't worry too much if you don't have a lot to put in your wisdom. But ideally, wisdom should be the second highest after dex for this build, or go constitution as your second highest. One of those two, because the more hit points you've got, the longer you're gonna, the more you can stay alive. Charisma at 10. It's nice to have charisma, but because we're building an entire party here, we don't have to have every character in the party have really great charisma. If you're playing a game like, say, Baldur's Gate 3 or Pathfinder Kingmaker or something like that, where you are playing the primary character and you have a bunch of NPCs along with you, then it's good for you to have as high a charisma as possible, because often you have to make those charisma checks. You can't get anyone else to do it for you. But in this game, because there's multiple people in your party, it's not such a big deal. So we'll move on. We have to pick our class skills. Now, these don't affect this build at all either. You can pick anything you want here. I'm going to pick Insight, Investigation, and Nature. But Stealth is another good one that I might have done in other situations. And then the languages are not going to affect anything either. But I'm going to pick, I'm not going to pick, even if I didn't already have, Common, Dwarf, Elvish, and Halfling, I wouldn't pick any of those. I would pick, a humanoid language, a non-character speaking language. So, for example, Orcish will be a good option. Your identity has absolutely nothing to do with it. So choose whatever you want for a name. However you want to look is fine. It doesn't matter whether you want to be skinny or brawny. That's all fine. So now, and this is the lovely thing about this game, you can level up these characters at any time. Or you can at least see what they're going to do when they level up. I don't think you can actually start the adventure with them at higher levels. I haven't tried that yet, but actually, we're going to cancel that for a second. Let's just inspect the character and switch to our bow for the meantime. So we can see here at the moment, we are already at a +6 to hit and a +4 damage. So 1d8 +4. So that's a really good ability with this bow to start off with, because when you compare that with our we're still +6 to hit and +4 for damage with our swords, but yeah, that's a good starting point. So now when we level up, we should have the bow in our hand. That's good. So we'll see over here any of the changes that we make that will affect things. So level 2, we can now pick a fighting style. So of course we're going to pick Archery. This is where we get our next big jump. We get a +2 bonus to attack with our ranged weapons. So this will go to +8, and we get spells. Now, there's 3 things. One, we just picked. There's 3 things that make this build stand out. One, the archery fighting style. Be aware, fighters can get that as well. Paladins might be able to too. I don't think rogues can though. So that's one step that we're going to be better than rogues. But as far as a fighter goes, right now we're as good as a fighter spec'd with bow. All right. Here's one of the next thing. This is the second thing that gets us good, and it's something that the fighter can't do. Hunter's Mark. So when we take that spell, we get an additional 1d6 of damage with our bow against a marked opponent. So we can mark an opponent with this, and then we can start shooting at them. And as long as we can keep our concentration, we can keep getting extra damage against that opponent, an extra 1d6 of damage, and then so that's a really good ability. The other abilities here, Fog Cloud can be useful as well, so I'd recommend that at this point. Don't really recommend taking Cure Wounds unless you know you don't have anyone else in the party who can heal, and then it's a good option, but otherwise you're not as good a healer as a life cleric. You will never be as good a healer because this is the one spell you've got. So don't rely on that as your healing. Level 3. And this is where we now get our archetypes. So if we take our marksman archetype that I mentioned before, we get our ability to attack opponents who are 2 or more cells away from us with a ranged attack. When they attack you with a ranged weapon or spell, we can use our reaction to take a shot after their attack. And so that's really nice. We also then get the ability to either use a herbalism kit or a poisonous kit. We're going to take herbalism. And we get another spell. I said you're never going to be as good a healer, but we might as well take Cure Wounds. Because we don't have access to any other spells at that point. Now, level 4. The first time we can either take an ability score or a bonus feat. We're going to take a bonus feat right now, because this is the third and last thing that we need to make us the second best archer in the game. And that is Sylvan Archer Feat, which increases your dexterity by 1, which I think in early access may be broken because it actually doesn't increase my dex to 19 when I take this. But it allows us to ignore half and 3/4 cover when shooting with a bow. So if we have an opponent who is behind half or 3/4 cover, it's as if they're not behind cover at all. The only time we can't shoot accurately at an opponent is if they're behind full cover, which is a huge advantage for you. The fighter can take that as well. I think anyone in your party can take that. Any class can take this. But it means between that, the marksman ability, the archery fighting style, and the hunter's mark spell that we've got, we're a little bit better than a fighter spec'd as archer would be. Okay, because he can't get the marksman special feat, and he can't get the marked target spell that we got last turn. So we're going to take that and finish. And you'll notice that our dexterity didn't in fact go up. So as I said, that may be a bug that the Sylvan doesn't work. Now we've got 2 attacks per round now, and we are at +9 to hit. And so we're doing really, really well. Okay. We're a level 5 ranger. We get our extra attack at this level. We also get our next lot of spells. Barkskin is pretty useless to you because you should have an AC of 16 already, so it's not going to help you. But if you want to take it to buff an ally, like a mage or something like that, then take it. As a Sylvan Elf, Dark Vision is no good to you because you've already got it. But if you want to take it to buff one of your companions who doesn't have it, take it. Find Traps can be useful, but it only works, that one instance. So you have to be in a place where you think there's going to be a trap and then use it. And you better hope that there is one, because if you don't, you've just used up that spell for the day. Lesser Restoration can certainly be good, but don't rely on it because you should have a cleric to do that for you. So the only 2 which are really useful to you is Pass Without a Trace, but that actually works for you and 5 of your allies for up to an hour. So that's really good. It increases your stealth. So that's nice. And Protection from Poison, which both cures poison and then for an hour protects you from poison. Although it does mention that cure removes 1 random occurrence of the poisoned. So I suspect that if you've been technically poisoned multiple times, it will take only 1 off when you use that. But I'm going to take that because it's more useful, I feel. Okay, so now we get our second favoured enemy and Natural Explorer. I took giants last time. I'm going to take monstrosity this time. We took mountains last time. I'm going to take forest. Actually, let's take swamp. I don't know in this game, but I have a feeling swamps might play in it a little bit. So let's try that. Level 7, all we're getting is one more spell here. I'll take Pass Without a Trace in this case. Okay, we can choose to take ability scores or feats. I'll just point out to you some feats that might be useful, but I'm actually going to go back and take ability scores. So, there is Creed of Miss A, which increases your dexterity by another 1, which could be useful. We don't really need strength. There are some here if you want to buff your constitution or your wisdom. You can take some of these other creeds. Enduring Body gives you 1 extra hit point per level and increases your constitution by 1. That's quite good. Hard to Kill. If you do get knocked down, you stabilize easier, and you can actually regain some hit points in some cases. Lockbreaker can be useful if you're the only one in the party who's doing the lockpicking. Should not be displayed, so ignore that one. It's a funny little joke, that. I'm assuming that is there for testing and is not actually supposed to be visible in the early access, so expect that to be removed. Master of the Iron Legion gives you the ability to use heavy armor if you want to do that. I don't think it's really worth it, but because you'll lose all of your stealth abilities. And you've already got Sylvan Archer, so I don't know why it's there again, and it doesn't, boost your AC. So if you had at least 13 Constitution in your build, this is another one to take that's good as well. So that when you do rest and go to regain hit points, you can roll 2 hit dice and take the higher value, which can be really nice as well. But we're not going to take any of those. I'm just pointing out some of the ones that are actually quite good. Instead, we're going to buff our ability points, and we're going to get our dex up to 20. So then at level 9, the second last one, as I said, you can technically use this to level up to level 20, but I don't believe it really does anything significant after level 10. There's no more ability point buys or anything like that. It's just basically getting a few spells, because if we see here what we gain again at other levels, we get Natural Explorer at level 10, and that's it. So we're getting another spell here. We're getting the 3rd level spells. I don't think there are 4th level yet, because of course you don't really get beyond 10. This is not really geared yet for beyond 10th level. So at the moment, out of these two, Daylight or Protection from Energy, Daylight, it summons a bright globe, so it removes darkness if someone does that, but you can already see in normal darkness, so Protection from Energy is probably more useful. And then finally, level 10, we get Natural Explorer. We can pick one area where we are I think it's supposed to be one of the ones you already picked, but I'm not sure. But we'll just leave it at Forest. It doesn't really matter. That's entirely up to you as to which one of those that you pick. And it shows there's nothing at higher levels, so that's really it. So let's have a look at our character build now. So we have our Sylvan Elf Ranger Marksman, who has the Archery fighting style. An armor class of 16 at this point, which is pretty good. We've got plus 10 to hit. We're doing 1 to 8 plus 5 damage with the bow, and we can attack twice per round. This is the best Ranger you will get. The only thing that this stands out over a fighter spec as Ranger is that we have this Marksman ability, which gives us our special reaction shot, and we have our spell of Hunter's Mark, which allows us to do extra damage against our opponents. So that's the build, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment down below. If you think you know what the one change is that you can make to make this the best archery ranger in the SOLASTA Crown of the Magister game, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think it is. There is no multi-classing as far as I'm aware, so it's not that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you for the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.